Morning guys, so today we're going to go through kind of basics of like alignment and also exercises that are going to be kind of activation exercises to prepare the shoulders and the body for our handstand training. So I hope you like this video and let's get on with it. The first exercise we're going to be doing is a Y. And this is basically activating the scapulars, so we're really focusing on squeezing the scapulars at the top of the movement, keeping the arms straight as we bring the arms up. And we're just going to do 10 of these. We're going to do 10 of each activation exercise. And then we're going to go on to a T. So arms are coming out to the side, they're staying in line with the shoulders. Again, we're focused on squeezing scapulars together. In this position, we've also got a straight back, so it's kind of like a hinge at the hip, as if you were doing a bent over row. And then lastly, we're going into W's. So again, the arms are staying in that kind of Y alignment, and then we're focusing on bringing the elbows into the waist, keeping the hands flat. The elbows should also be in that same alignment, in line with the body as we're bringing them into the waist. So it's the most difficult out of the 3 exercises. Next, we're going to go on to a bird dog. For this, we're keeping the back straight and then we're lifting opposite arm to opposite leg. It's a very careful lift. We're engaging the pelvic floor muscles and then we're straightening one leg and one arm at the same time. It looks pretty easy, but actually it's quite difficult if it's done properly. Again, we're doing 10 on each side. And then we're going to move into a bird dog. This is where we're laying on the ground and our legs are going to start bent up, our arms in the air, and the back's going to be pressed down to the ground, and then opposite arm to opposite leg is lowering down to the ground, just hovering above the ground, and then back into the midline. So again, it's kind of a core exercise, which you should be able to do prior to your handstand training. We're doing 10 on each side, and just make sure that back is staying flat down to the ground. So if you want to, you can repeat these exercises, and I'd suggest doing 3 sets of 10 of each exercise. Next, we're going to move into a supine alignment. This is where we're laying on the ground. Our back is flat down to the ground, our arms are straight and flat down to the ground, our legs are squeezed, and we're focusing on trying to push the rib cage down to the ground as well. So it may look like it's easy, it may look like it's a resting position, but it's actually very difficult. And if you can't get into this position, then there's no way you're going to be able to actually achieve that perfect handstand alignment. So a lot of people lack shoulder mobility in this position, and that just means obviously you need to work on your shoulder flexion for your handstand. We're holding for 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on to a prone position. And relax, and then rolling onto the front, and we're going to move into our prone position. This is where, again, it's a similar position. We're trying to lift the stomach off the ground. The arm should also be off the ground. Again, it's getting us into that perfect alignment for handstand. And if you can't actually get into this position on the floor, it is more difficult than the supine alignment. Then again, there's probably not much possibility that you'll be able to get into that perfect alignment in handstand. And then coming out of that position, we're going to go back into the same supine alignment position. So arms above the head, ribs pushing down to the ground, back down to the ground, legs squeezed. Arms should be straight, feet should be together, and we're holding for 30 seconds. Last couple of seconds, And then we're going to go into the final prone position. And relax, rolling onto the front. Same position, so we're trying to suck the stomach up. Arms are lifting off the ground, arms should be straight, glutes should be squeezed, legs should be straight, and we're holding this position for 20 seconds. These are really kind of basic exercises that you need to be able to perfect before you can get into that perfect handstand alignment. And we're going to come out of that position. And lastly, we're going to go into some wrist rocks. So we're rocking forwards with the wrists, and then as we rock back, we're trying to lift the fingers off the ground, keeping the palm of the hand on the ground. This is working on our wrist mobility. So again, if we can't actually lift the fingers off the ground, then we probably have a lack of wrist mobility, and we need to work on that area to be able to achieve that handstand position. If this has always been a problem for you, as well as working on that mobility, I would also suggest working on canes or like a raised surface which is slightly sloped. Lastly, we're moving on to internal external rotation. Again, we're trying to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders, and then we're bringing the arms forward and backward. So we're just moving them internally and then externally. So we should be able to get that full external rotation, and it might be something that you need to work on if you can't get that. We're going to move into another set of the wrist rocks. So moving that body weight forwards over the wrists and then lifting the fingers off as we come backwards. It's a really good warm-up exercise, as well as obviously focusing on that mobility and understanding if you have a lack of mobility in the wrists for your handstand training. Just going to do 10 in total, and then we'll move on to our final set of internal and external rotations. And turning back onto your back, elbows in line with the shoulders, arms going internally and then externally. And we're doing 5 in total. And relax. Well done, guys. So you should now understand how to identify those areas that you need to work on. We're coming into a hollow hold. This again is a very basic position which is going to help with your core midline strength. So we're lifting the feet off the ground and also the shoulders off the ground. As you can see, my feet aren't too high off the ground, they're hovering above. And then we're going to go into a back extension. So again, this is working on back strength. We're lifting up the arms as high as we can, the legs as high as we can, and we're just going to hold this position for 20 seconds. So you can alternate between these two core exercises, and I would suggest really, putting them into your handstand training. They're very essential exercises that need to be within your handstand training. So we're doing one more, holding for 20 to 30 seconds, and then we're going to go back into our back extension. Make sure your back is pressed down to the ground in that position. If it's not, then you need to come out of it because you don't want to risk any injury. And then we're going to go straight back into a back extension, lifting the chest and the feet as high as you can. Make sure the legs are squeezing together. You should be squeezing the glutes and feel it in the lumbar back. Head should be remaining neutral, and relax. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you got a lot out of obviously the kind of alignment exercises and exercises you should really be able to do before going into that handstand position. So they're basically exercises to obviously prepare the body to be able to hold that perfect alignment handstand. But have a brilliant day.